Welcome to the Lake Effect Podcast. I'm Mike Weiner, and we're shooting from Accurate Glass Products in Barrie. This morning, we're going to have Melody join us, and she's a coordinator. And off camera is Carrie, who is our estimator, and we're going to talk about Railings. So today, if you want to make reference to our website, it's accurateglassproducts.com. There's two choices, fabrication, installation. We are a local fabricating company, but we have an installation division that's been installing glass showers for about 35 years. So we'll go to that, accurateglassproducts.com. So now that you're on our screen, you can see installations and fabrications. Go to installations. And then you'll see under services, you'll see on the styles, there's the four main types of glass railing, and we'll have Carrie describe that for us. Carrie, can you tell us what you see there?
Yes, so these are the standard railings designs. Spigots are probably the most popular right now, depending on the width of your panels would dictate how many spigots you would need to get that clear frameless design. If you wanted a side mount option or a front mount option, standoffs are your best bet there. It would give you a cleaner look, hides that hardware underneath the surface. You also have two more top mount options, which is your posts and your base rail. Posts are great because it can add a handrail, it can give you top rail options, or you can do your frameless posts as well. And base rail also comes in top mount and side mount options, where it gives you a clean, seamless look all the way across the application.
Okay, so I would say base rail is, it's more, people are starting to use it in their personal residence, where it used to be exclusively for commercial purposes. So the first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about spigots. Spigots are a way of holding the glass up, and it's a mounting point to give you the most amount of vision. So you can, if you're looking through a deck, or you want to see the waterfront, or you want to see the view, and that was the purpose of using glass in the first place. You want to minimize the amount of hardware that you're using in order to hold the glass up to get the best view, but also still have a safe guard. And that's what a spigot is. So this is an example of a spigot. This is a high quality spigot. We'll get into that in a moment. And the spigot is pretty much the only piece of hardware you need beside the pieces of glass, except for the glass connectors that would go from side to side. So the way a spigot works is it has a bolt plate. The bolt plate has holes in it. The holes get mounted to a surface. Surface could be concrete, it could be wood, it could be whatever your deck is made out of, composite. And then the glass fits inside the spigot. And on the back side, there's adjustment screws, these two adjustment screws right here, and then you can adjust the glass back and forth. So the process of installing it is needs to be precise. Anybody who's in the cut and measure business likely can do the job. Our guys are doing it on a regular basis. They can do it fast, efficiently, and once they drill the holes are drilled in the right place. So I think, Carrie, maybe you can answer this. How often, you're the one estimating the jobs. How often are spigots used in a residential application? Is it a normal item?
In a top mount, more often it is spigots that are chosen, especially on a second level in a landing. That seems to be the preferred method. Staircase is a little different. I'd say 50-50 standoffs.
So interior and exterior?
Yes.
Same product, interior, exterior?
Yes.
Okay. Is a finish interior grade, like it's aesthetically pleasing?
Yes.
Right. As you can see, this is a one component, and there's several other components which I have here. There's this component, which is a cover and a base. So the base plate is something that it sits on top, and then you use the screws. These are adjustment screws, and you adjust it so you get it perfectly lined up, and then you use this to cover on the top. So I would say the only thing you have to remember when you're hiring us, or any company like ours, or even buying this and installing it yourself, is no deck is perfect. It doesn't matter if it's concrete, it's wood, or it's composite. No deck is perfect, and there needs to be some form of adjustment. But glass can be perfect. So the underside of the glass, if this represents the glass, the bottom line of the glass, amongst even 10 pieces, can be perfectly straight. But the deck underneath is always like this.
Yes.
And that's why we have the adjustment plate. Okay, so Melody, you're the one scheduling the guys to go out and do this. How long would it take to do your average deck?
Well, that's kind of a broad question, but I would say usually we try to get it done in one day, especially with spigots, something like this. They can go ahead of time and install them and then bring the glass on the day of.
Okay,
We've actually done that quite a few times. So I've sent them on a Friday to install spigots, and then on Monday we'll go and get the job complete with glass.
excellent. So glazing in the glass is only one component. If you work backwards from it's beautiful, it's finished. Before that, you have glazing in. Before glazing in, you have spigots. Before spigots, you have layup.
Yes.
Before layup, you have measure. And,
Yes.
And at some point, somewhere along the line, somebody needs to produce the glass.
Yes, I actually went to site a few weeks ago with Dennis and Arthur and helped them install spigots so that the next day they could go and install glass.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, okay. So now we'll talk about spigots specifically. We can dig into spigots even more and talk about pricing. The thing is pricing goes up and down. It depends on if you're watching this video the day that we shot it or 2 years after we shot it. The pricing is not always going to be the same, and the market keeps changing even more rapidly than it has in the past. For a good 20 years, things were fairly stable. The people, there was only a few manufacturers importing this kind of stuff into Canada. It wasn't as popular as it right now, and there weren't as many suppliers, and there also weren't as many options. So if I would have to, Carrie, you're going to have to sort of judge me here using some round numbers so that this doesn't become an issue in the future when somebody's watching this. So right now, for about X amount of dollars, okay, you can go buy pieces that are fabricated overseas. They're stamped overseas. The stamp just says tempered. It doesn't say the manufacturing facility. It probably doesn't have an ANSI number or a CAN number, which it depends on how astute your building inspector is. If your building inspector is super sharp, the building inspector is going to dig into the stamp and make sure it's the most recent code. But quite often that's not the case. What they're just looking for is basic safety or perhaps an engineer's letter from somebody else. So there's a lot of that going on where the chief building official sends a building inspector on their behalf, and they just simply ask for an engineer stamp on something that shows the system, and then the system matches what's actually put in place. But if you go and look closely at a stamp, you want to see a CAN number, whatever the most recent number is. You guys know what the most recent stamp number is? I think it's 12.1 or 12.9 or something like that. I don't know off the top of my head, but look it up. Just Google it or ChatGPT it, and what is the most recent CAN number for glass? And that's what you should have stamped on your glass at the time that it's being inspected. The sizes are usually not cut to size; they're cut within. What do you see commonly when people are buying stuff? Back of a warehouse.
I'd say an eighth, maybe. Is that what you mean?
No, it's about 2 inches, I think, isn't it? It comes in 2 inches. So if you order panels, yeah, it's like 30, 32, 34, 36, right? Whereas our stuff, we come to your house, we measure and we divide equally across your deck so that the size from side to side is exactly custom. So let's say you're doing it in 4 pieces, and the true measurement, if you have 3/4 of an inch, you need to leave space in between, and that's what these are for. These drop in between, so the glass goes in the spigot, and then this glass connector, that's how we're referring to these days, right? Yeah. Not an H profile, but a glass connector is commonly known. And then you glass connector it so it becomes one continuous connected surface and gives it stability.
And this one is for corners.
Yeah, the corner, same idea. Corner goes on the corner.
I commonly refer to them as an upper connected, so it's clear if you go along the top of them.
Correct. Yes, for aesthetic purposes and for stability, right? If arm and moment, you want it so that it's connected at the top, so it gives it becomes a rail. Basically, glass without a cap or without a railing becomes a railing because it's connected continuously. So for us to come out, do design consultation, to make sure that what we're designing is correct. And it can be extraordinarily difficult to design a glass on a staircase. So we rely on, experienced people. Our most experienced person has Michael's 40 plus years in the business.
Yes.
And at this point, there's very few problems that stump him, but it still takes him work. There's still work involved and experience, that he needs to apply to his decision-making to get it right. Now, let's assume you have a very simple deck. Michael will still come out and measure down to the 32nd of an inch, really,
Yes.
right? And these off-the-shelf systems don't have that. The most important thing to understand about spigots is the quality and the testing of the spigot itself and the safety involved, especially when you're high off the ground. Okay, so to get if you guys are good with it, I'm going to see if I can patch Barrie in and
Of course, yeah.
have a conversation
He's
with him.
the best person to explain this.
Yeah. Brody is our hardware supplier's rep. You might have to repeat what he says just so the microphone picks it up. Hello, how you doing?
Very good.
So I'm going to introduce you. This is Brody Harrington from Euroforge, and we're currently taping an episode of the Lake Effect podcast, and we're talking pretty much exclusively about spigots at this point. Are you good for a conversation?
Absolutely.
Okay, and Melody's here with me. Carrie is here as well. So Melody might just parrot what you say so that to make sure that it comes up on the microphone, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we have a Euroforge spigot in front of us. We can see that the Euroforge spigot has, so I assume this is forged, not welded. And you can see that this is one piece of metal. And if you look inside, you can also see how the metal is this one piece of metal or two pieces of metal?
This is a step-down spigot.
No.
It's one solid piece.
No, we have the 6-inch standard.
The 6 inch is one solid piece as well. Yeah.
It's one solid piece. Okay, so you can see this center section, so we're looking at it from the bottom. This would have been milled out, and this would have been milled from a block. What material is it?
It's duplex 2205 stainless steel.
Duplex 2205 stainless steel. So you can see there's a stamp on the bottom, 225. Okay, so this is, do you need something? Okay, somebody is going to ask this of a contractor. So somebody's going to, Carrie, what are they going to say to their general contractor when you're sitting and explaining, that this is the best, spigot money can buy?
They're always going to want to save money, and there's a lot of options. I say this a lot. I don't know if I can say this on the podcast, but it's the difference between Kleenex and tissue. Everybody wants the Kleenex. This is what we call engineered systems that are going to hold up. They might not save you money. They might not be the bottom line that you can get, but they're going to hold up. They're going to be engineered, and we're going to stand by it and be able to provide you with the documentation to get your building passed.
Okay, that's an excellent description. So what Carrie is saying, you're paying for quality, but you're getting quality.
Yes.
So Brody, there's other stuff out there that is legal in Ontario, but it is not even close to this quality. What are the attributes of those systems that we want to avoid?
So the key indicators of quality, especially of a top mount, surface mount spigot like that, is basically you want to see the thickness of the plate, the overall thickness of the material, and the solidness of the basically the arms that are actually the glass is going to be sitting.
Yeah.
What you'll see in basically a honeycomb style and kind of structure on the inside of those to kind of save money on the total overall amount of stainless steel in it. And you'll see a thinner bottom plate to cut down on that on the total amount of stainless.
Okay, so I have it in my hand, and you can see that this is a chunk. This is a chunk of stainless. And the only thing this is milled out on the inside just so you can have the mounting plate slips in and fits inside. But as far as, I don't know what the right word is, the beefiness of this structure is is high. So the thing that would be concerned with, I suppose, if you go, so we have the option, we can cut our prices, okay, and we can do a less expensive job. Brody would not like this, but we can buy those inexpensive spigots. We can even buy them directly from Asia if we want to, and order them ourselves and bring them in, which is what a lot of people have done lately. But the reason we don't is, and there's nothing wrong with Asian production. I'm not saying, where are these made, by the way? Are these made in Asia? Are these made in North America, Europe?
It is in Asia. I believe they're out of either China, Vietnam, Indonesia, India. Those are kind of the centers of stainless steel production.
Okay, so it doesn't matter the country of origin. I've learned that recently, that you can have very good stuff made in Taiwan, in China, in Vietnam, in Indonesia, and India, but you get what you ask for. And it's very clear to me that what Euroforge has asked for is a high quality product. The lesser quality spigots that you can buy a lot less expensive, and like I was saying, we can buy them as well. But instead of having a structure like this, they're tack welds. It's 4 tack welds, and then they cover it with a plate by sliding a plate over top. And visually it doesn't look like it's any different.
I would say it does. It's so true. You do really get what you pay for. It's not going to be as aesthetically pleasing as this is.
Fair enough. And so to Melody's point, when you get close up, you can see the differences pretty quick. But in a picture, on Pinterest or something, so in a Pinterest situation, you compare this super high quality to something that's not super high quality. It's not going to weigh as much. You're not going to see the differences on the surface. Now, the example that I give, Brody, I don't know if you have examples of your own. I'm just throw mine out there. And it was your engineer that explained this to me. When you mount this on your deck, and you have this level of quality product, let's say you're a grandparent and your grandkids come over and they're on the 3rd story, and they come running out the deck because they're playing tag or something, and they smash into the side of the piece of glass, okay, like this. They smash into the piece of glass. The glass has leverage and it pushes right here on the spigot, okay? So both this spigot and the cheaper spigot will be tested to a certain number of kilonewtons to absorb that hit. The difference with Euroforge is that Euroforges they're not going to flex or bend as easily as the cheap stuff. And when the next day, the other set of grandkids come over and do the exact same thing, it'll take another hit. Whereas the really inexpensive stuff is only tested to take one hit. Would that be a good example, Brody, or do you have another one yourself?
Certainly, no, that's probably the best way to put it. Basically, it's the difference between deflection under load and a permanent deflection. And basically, all that's calculating is the structural integrity of the spigot itself. Basically, you don't want that spigot to open up when it takes that hit. As soon as it starts to open up, you've lost your overall structural integrity. You want it to be able to take a hit. It may flex under the hit, but you want it to, after the hit is done, you want it to return to its starting point. That allows it to take repeated hits of that same kind of strength over and over and over without losing structural integrity.
Brody, are you able to explain to me the difference between the quality of your product and, say, the cheaper stuff that you can buy on the market?
So one of the keys in testing is permanent deflection and deflection under load.
So he's saying permanent deflection and deflection under load is one of the key similar differences between the two products.
So you want your product to be able to have some deflection under load and then come back to a starting point with 0 permanent deflection.
So you want your spigot to be able to take some deflection under load, but then come back to its permanent position after the hit, essentially.
What this basically means is that the spigot itself has not taken any structural damage and can continue to take those types of hits repeatedly without causing further structural damage.
So basically, this spigot itself will be able to take hit after hit, and it won't structurally damage this. Whereas with the less superior products, it may only be designed to take one major hit, and then the structure of the spigot is kaput, and you may risk, an accident happening with that glass breaking or even the spigot itself breaking.
Excellent.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you very much, Brody, for your explanation. We hope that we will sell. No problem. I hope we will sell many of them, and we'll talk to you again very shortly.
Okay, thanks, Bertie.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Brody.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye. So that's a good explanation of not only spigots, but why we have chosen as a company not to get the cheapest stuff we possibly can and bring our price down to the very bottom, and try and push as much as we can into the market, because no criticism to anybody who wants to get that glass look on their balcony for less price. That's just not the business that Accurate Glass is in. We've made a name for ourselves over the last 35 to 40 years in doing higher quality work, or doing the highest quality work that's available in this area. There's not we don't do everything. There's things that we don't know how to do competently that we stay away from. We don't do cut aluminum railing, because that is in itself its own specialty. So we have some excellent customers. There's a few of our customers who service the Muskoka, Haliburton region, and who are more than happy to do some of those other products. But we stick to the Euroforge products because of their high quality. We will experiment from time to time with things like custom-made railings, custom-made stainless, custom-made steel. But when people send us lots of pictures, so if you can quickly go to our inspiration gallery. So if you have our website open, it's accurateglassproducts.com, and you go to Railings from the installation page, and then we'll go to our website right now. You'll see some great photos, going back a few years. Some of them are recent. So right now on the screen is a project actually outside of Huntsville called Grandview Shores, where we did a spigot installation with Euroforge. And if you can imagine on a pool deck that is likely going to see hundreds of people in the summer, and it's not like your house where if somebody runs into the railing and you know about it. This is a situation where, you can have somebody run into the railing and not mention it to anybody repeatedly, and you want to make sure from an occupancy standpoint it stays safe, so that the next group of people who's out on that pool deck stays safe. So that's why we use this higher quality product. Sure, you can achieve what's the expression? You can have a paper tiger. I can't remember the expression, right? Have a tiger that looks like a tiger that bites you, or a tiger that's a paper tiger, but it can't bite you, right? It's the same thing. So here's some more pictures you see online where we can jump to from this is a spigot. I don't know if there's anything more we can explain, but you can feel free to call us. It's accurateglassproducts.com. If you want to get Melody, who's our coordinator, on the line, or you want to get Carrie on the line, it's installs, plural, installs at accurateglassproducts.com. You can also call us at 705-722-6767. If you're looking for some design advice, Carrie will likely refer you to Michael Cadenhead, who is our head design and salesperson, who's out on the road every day. And if you just name a hockey player who's got a cottage in Muskoka, and they relied on Michael Cadenhead to do the design and consultation.
It's probably true.
Yeah. Hockey players that are here and ones who are no longer here, but their cottage is still here and their railing is still here. And we needed to do something that was consumerant with the quality of the product that was required for that project. And we have it, and we do it, and our installers can execute it. So the only other thing I can say about the spigots is they are mounted on the top surface, and they go on the base plate on the top surface. And then there's an aesthetic cover that goes on over top. If I line it up correctly, And that is what the completed product looks like. In fact, the vision, your pictures are usually like that, with a solid surface on the outside. And of course, the glass would be somewhat invisible. It's very hard to photograph glass. I'm sure you guys recognize that. It's hard to photograph glass because when it looks really good, it's more like a veneer, okay? It's something that it's like if you have a classic car and you have a flat color and you put a sheen over top of it, that's what it is. Or I've heard ladies refer to it as like a clear on your nails, is you put on the color, but then you want a veneer. And that's kind of what glass is. It's a veneer, in a railing situation, it's a veneer of the deck and a veneer of the house behind it. And that's why it looks so good in pictures when you capture it just right and the light reflecting off it, because it's the shiny veneer over the top of a beautiful construction of wood and steel and stone and whatever other products the house is made of. Okay, so sometimes you have a really nice, call it a ledger board around the outside of a staircase, or you want a specific look. So if you refer to our website, there's a set of stairs that I think I actually helped measure and install some years ago. I think that was Anthony's house, actually, if I recognize the picture correctly. And that's something called standoffs. So if you go to our website, accurateglassproducts.com, and you refer to installations, and then you go to railings, and you go to styles, you will come up with something called a standoff. So in my hand is a standoff. Do you want to maybe describe for the viewers?
So essentially it's 3 pieces. You can take them apart. So this is what's going to go into your wall. Am I correct on that? Or
Yeah. That would be, so in the back you can see there's a threads in the back, and we thread a lag bolt in there, or sometimes a nut and a bolt, so our clipboard is the surface and it attaches to the surface. So if you refer back to the website, let's go back real quick if you don't mind, Soren, bounce back to the website. There's one picture of standoffs, and you want to toggle through a couple more. That would be good.
I feel like that's the same.
Yeah, that's a great picture. That shows that you can see the reflections. You know that there's glass on there, and you see the standoffs are screwed into the stringer of the stairs. So that's what we do. We screw these into the stringer of the stairs, or if it's around a deck, can you see if we can find a deck picture with standoff? I think you got one right there on the attic picture there.
No, that's a spigot.
Oh, is it spigots? Yeah, keep scrolling down. There's a house in the center. Just keep scrolling down. There's a house in the center. The thing is, she's not used to the.
I'm definitely not used to it.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, that's that one. That one will do. Okay, if you want to refer to the website, accurateglassproducts.com, installations, railings, and then styles, you'll see spigots. This is an interior application where rather than using a base shear or spigots, we wanted to get the glass out over the edge, so you have the maximum amount of space on the landing. And these spigots are screwed into, they'd be lagged into the header over the staircase or over the landing or whatever it's on there. If you want to just go one more picture over, please, if you don't mind. Carrie brought up, keep going. Just keep, it's very close. Again, keep going. It's there, that one. Okay, if you want to make reference to our website again, we'll pull that up on the screen for you. So this is a cottage. This is what I was talking about when I said you've got a beautiful cottage, beautiful woodwork, beautiful staining job, architecturally pleasing. Everything's very nice. And what we don't want to do is block the view of all those nice windows and all that siding. So we put glass railings, which is probably why glass railings were employed there. But the choice of hardware attachment is like this. This is a lag bolt. Lag bolt screws into the back of the spigot, and the spigot is screwed into the ledger board. So when you're thinking about designing your cottage or your deck, that you want to take that into consideration is if you look at the length of this. Can you pass me the tape measure there? So you have this. This is something to be considered. Okay. What does that say? It's 3 inches probably. So when you're getting Carrie to quote this for you, or you might be consulting Melody later in the process, you want to make sure that you have. Usually, what you'd like to see is a triple sandwich. So 3 pieces of 2x material for this to go into, and you don't want it like use this as a piece of 2x. What you don't want to do is have the lag bolt go in too close to the bottom of the meat and then have it tear out. Okay, this is going to hold big, heavy glass. Now we'll get into the actual hardware choice. So you've chosen to use your ledger board as your structural attachment point. Rather than going down into a spigot, you're going sideways into a ledger board, and then so you're into the ledger board, and then you're screwing this on, and then you're putting the glass in between the gaskets. Okay, and so it has to be strong enough that when somebody hits it at the top of the glass, that this doesn't bend. Okay, so you want to describe that. You had it apart there. You want to describe that?
Yes. So essentially, it's in 3 parts. So as you said, your glass is going to go in between your 2 gaskets here at the top. This is what you're going to screw onto the wall, and these also come apart.
Yeah, that's how we get the glass on.
It doesn't want to come apart now. What did I do?
There you got it. Oh, it's there we go.
So essentially, this is 3 parts. This is what you're going to screw onto your wall, and then this is going to go on top to be part of the glass, and then this screws. Your glass is going to go in between here, and that's going to go
So it makes a sandwich.
right on top.
Yeah, and it's
And that's going to be against your wall. That's what you're going to see. This is going to be the outside where you have nothing showing, no bolts, nothing like that.
and if you wonder why we charge what we do for installations, and the guys, are so careful, it's not an instantaneous process. What the guys need to do is they need to have, if you saw those pictures before, for one piece of glass, they'll have 8 of these little surfaces, and they need to get the glass into the location, stood up correctly, lifted without breaking anybody's back. Glass is very fragile, and it's also not meant to be stacked together for long periods of time. Okay? And that's why it's a trade. That's why glazing is a trade, is because you have to be able to get the glass onto this without hitting the metal. When glass and metal come in contact with each other, glass blows up. So if you have ever experienced a spontaneous explosion of tempered glass, it's usually because of contacted metal. That's also why your deck needs to be solid, because if you have a deck that's, let's say this tape measure represents 30 feet of deck, okay, and you have your glass railing along the 30 feet of deck. If it gets snow in the winter and it starts flexing like this because of a snow load, the glass is going to blow up. So that's why your deck needs to have good structural integrity behind it. And that's why you need somebody to go look at it and make an assessment of the type of hardware to use, the type of separation required between metal and glass to ensure that it looks good and it's safe. Maybe, Carrie, if you can chime in here, when you're estimating these spigot jobs, how many spigots per piece of glass is normal?
At a minimum, 4, 2 on each end. Those are for pretty small panels. Usually, I would say 8 is a good average size for a panel, but sometimes more, because you're gonna, every 2 feet you extend out, you have to add more hardware.
Okay, so we've done, I would argue, thousands, if not tens of thousands of railings at this point over a 40-year history. Why or what, how are the guys able to, if they're trying to get 8 of these little tiny surfaces, which is the 8 of these little tiny surfaces without hitting the post in the center when they put the glass on and get everything lined up, why are they able to do that? How are we able to do that?
They're really good at what they do. It's actually quite impressive watching them install that. And it's so quiet. You'd think they just, they were just
They're in the zone when they're working. They really
very
are.
good, but very carefully. I think they communicate very well. They have a plan before they go in, because they go in the day before or previously to pre-drill. They know where all their hardware is going. Drilling it in straight is very important.
Yeah, if you
That will affect the installation time.
if you can imagine how successful the installation will be if everything was drilled in on an angle by accident. Like they've developed methods to get the lag in straight. Okay. So, I mean, as far as the installers are concerned, I'm not wearing a hat. Maybe you want to tip your hat 3 times for Terry and I.
Oh yes,
Okay.
they're the best.
Yes, our installers are conscientious. They're required, as far as we're concerned, to make the job go correctly. So we have, when it comes to railings, we service the trade. So we sell lots of custom railing panels to other companies that do the same work we do. They're very good companies, and we would hope that whoever's buying our glass also takes the same professional approach that we do. But the measurement also plays into this, doesn't it?
Yes, of
Okay.
course.
So our number one rule at Accurate Glass when it comes to installations is what?
We measure what we install what we measure.
Correct. Well, yeah, I feel the same. I mean, I hope that at this point you guys feel the same. Is if we're going to measure something, we're going to install it. We're not going to measure something and then force somebody else to suffer the consequences of that measure. And we're also not going to go install something that somebody else has measured because we want to take responsibility for the end product to maintain our reputation or our quality level. Okay, so how do we solve that? So measuring is obviously definitely a key component to a successful installation. And there's lots of people who can measure, but we know who the very, very best is. So what are the methods of measurement and how do we accomplish it as Accurate Glass?
Well, I think first it really starts with Carrie. Carrie will go ahead and estimate the job for the customer so they kind of know what ballpark they're looking at numbers wise. And then from there, she usually will send Michael maybe with some of the installation team, depending on if they're going to template or if they're going to use FlexiJet or however they're going to measure this. And Michael is just really key in that because of his experience and his knowledge to get sometimes the awkward little pieces right? Like you need to make sure that it is properly measured and that the pieces are properly produced.
So, of course, we're accurateglassproducts.com. If you want to go to our website, go to installations. There's videos and pages of explanations of some of these things. We also use something called the Prodim. So if you look up Prodim, ProLiner or Prodim USA, if Soren doesn't mind flashing that across the screen. So we use that machine. We also use something called the FlexiJet, which Melody mentioned. And the FlexiJet is a digital measuring tool. But like a hammer, it has to be in the right hands. Okay, you're not going to drive a nail with a hammer if you put it in the wrong hands. And it's the same thing with the Prodim and the FlexiJet, is that Michael is able to visualize and conceptualize what he wants to accomplish, because you can look at a staircase, you can look at a deck, and you can attack it 10 different ways. You can put the glass on the edge, you can put the glass back from the edge, you can make a transition, you could choose standard heights, you could, there's all kinds of things. There's a great picture actually on our website of my deck. I don't know if you can bring that up. Do you know where it is? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's the one that says Accurate Glass in the glass.
I was just looking at it.
Towards the bottom.
Yeah, do you know where it is? So if you make reference to our website, accurateglassproducts.com, and you go to installations, then go to the railing page, you can select styles and then scroll down. That would be starting at the top. About halfway or 3/4 of the way down, you'll come across this picture. Okay, so we'll go to the website and you'll see this picture. So this picture is an installation that was done 3 years ago, I think. And so there's an interesting choice made here. And full disclosure, the choice was made by a relative of mine. And this glass here would represent spigots. Those are spigots drilled into a wooden deck. and then there's glass connectors, but you'll see the railing along the top. So why is there railing along the top, but there's no railing, in that jut out, and it's just one solid strip of railing? And the reason is that this deck off to the left-hand side off the picture accesses water access for swimming. And that railing's purpose is actually to hang towels on. So these are the types of choices that are made or discussed. So when Michael, shows somebody what the current trends are or the current type of things that people are doing in houses, it represents, a stylistic choice, an aesthetic choice, but there's functional choices as well. And that's another reason why, Carrie can give numbers. If you call us, 705-722-6767, and you ask for installations, which is extension 1, you'll end up with Melody or Carrie. And if Carrie's going to do a quote for you at the very beginning of the process, she can give you a number, but she can't take into consideration every practical purpose that you may have in a shower or in a railing, or in a partition or whatever you're doing. So this is a case of a unique addition that was done for a specific purpose, that allows your job to be truly custom. And you can't get that if you buy stuff, from the hardware store and panels.
Of course.
The last topic of discussion will be hand railing, but we're going to save that for the next episode. So unless there's anything more to say about spigots and spigot railings, then we'll bid you adieu. And thank you for watching Accurate Glass Products, the Lake Effect podcast.